Okay, I am so mad. Seriously, transphobes, you cannot tell if someone is transgender. It's just not a thing. That is a myth that you guys tell yourselves because you want to, I don't know, prove something. I honestly do not know. Is it because you want to assure yourself that the boogeyman you've created is real and that because the boogeyman is real, you're going to, oh, I don't know, be able to tell when there's a boogeyman so you can be proactive? I honestly do not know this, understand this. Oh, I knew that so and so was trans, or I knew that so and so was gay. What is up with that? You are not being tricked. Nobody is trying to trick you. People are just living their lives, and if being trans or being gay freaks you out that much, may I suggest finding a local cave to live in? Because all you're doing is harming people. And it's not just trans youth, it's not just trans adults. Same thing with gay youth or gay adults. You're not just harming them, you are harming cis straight people because you're assuming some things that aren't in evidence. You just have this idea in your little space between your ears you call a brain, telling yourself that these are what makes a girl a girl. This is what makes a boy. And then you manage to somehow confuse yourselves. Because most trans people try to pass. So there is no telltale sign of um of a trans person. I mean, depending on what part of transition they're in, maybe. But generally, you probably have encountered a trans person who you never knew was trans because they pass. Because the point is not to trick people, it's just to live their lives. If you consider it a trick, that's your problem, not anybody else's. And it's certainly not up to you to protect women's sports, or in this case, a little kid's sport, because this is what set me off. A grandparent shut down a school sports event when he falsely accused a 9-year-old with a pixie haircut of being trans. Jesus Christ. Pixie haircuts are popular amongst girls. How the hell does that make them trans? I mean, first off, you're assuming that boys have short haircuts. And why would then a trans girl want to have a short haircut if that was looking like a boy? They generally don't. They would want to have the longer hair. They would want to look like a typical female. Now, obviously, not all, because not all women like long hair. So, no, not all. I understand it's not all. But the transphobes seem to be confused as to what they're looking for. They have been told that trans girls are actually just men who dress up as women, and it's obvious. She's 9. She hasn't hit puberty yet. Yes, boys and girls are going to look very similar at that age because that's pre-puberty. I got confused with my brother, with the people, with adults confusing us for being twin boys. For full disclosure, I'm 13 months older than my brother. but we were confused as twin boys because we had similar haircuts, we wore the same clothing, because this was at the time when you really couldn't tell unless kids were wearing the correct color coded clothing. You wouldn't know their gender because they look alike. So, no, you cannot tell a 9-year-old trans person, even if they were trans at this point and started, you know, using feminine names or dressing more feminine. They're 9. Unless this kid is wearing a dress, which during a competition they would not be, you would not know a boy from a girl. And since girls can wear pants, tell me, how can you tell? Even if they have long hair. Boys can have long hair. Or did you sleep through the 80s? Or even the 70s? Or 60s? Seriously. Stop telling boys and girls how they can dress or how to wear their hair, because you're not that smart. Anyway, the youngster was taking part in a shot put competition when the relative of one of the other participants disrupted the event in the Canadian town of Kelowna, British Columbia, and I hope I pronounced that right. So, it's nice to know that Canada has their crazies, and I saw on Reddit someone say that this is a very homophobic area. So, I was surprised because, I was told that it's Alberta that's the cesspool of, basically their equivalent of our American South, a cesspool of stupid. Um, but oh well, I guess I was wrong. It's all over the place because people have to be assholes. All right, she went to step up to compete for the grade 4th shot put final, and right before she went to throw, a grandfather of a student said, "Hey, this is supposed to be a girls' event, and why are you letting boys compete? My daughter is cisgender, born female, uses she/her pronouns. She has a pixie haircut," her mother, Heidi Starr, told Castanet. I mean, seriously, you're going to peg a little girl as a boy because of their haircut, which, again, it's a pixie haircut. This is not a boy's hairstyle. This is a hairstyle for little girls. So, I again failed to see what point you thought you were trying to prove, because are you an idiot? This is not even close to how you even begin to try to peg a trans person. Seriously, you're pegging someone who has a typical girl's hairstyle with being a boy? Pixie cuts are not new. This is not a shock that girls wear pixie haircuts. I'd love to know, on what planet does this man live, because this is, again, not a new thing. She says that the man, who has not been identified, no, that's a shame, she says that the man then demanded the youngster provide certification that she was born a female, because we all know that every child carries their birth certificate with them. What the hell? What exactly did he want? For her to strip right then and there to show her girl parts? I mean, all I can think of is that it's a good thing that she's only 9 and she isn't, developing breasts, because, I mean, don't want that showing. But seriously, that's got to be so traumatic for that poor kid, having this idiot decide that you're a boy because of your haircut. At an age where kids just, she's a kid. She wants to, be herself, but she also doesn't want to be made fun of. She doesn't want to be picked on, like any kid. Can you imagine what this could do to this kid, and what her parents and friends and the rest of the school are going to have to do to undo the damage this asswipe did to her by assuring her that she looks like a boy when she probably doesn't want to look like a boy? And she doesn't look like a boy because, again, a pixie haircut is not a boy's hairstyle. I have never heard of a boy wearing a pixie cut, which, if they wanted to wear a pixie haircut, that's perfectly fine. I do not care if that's what they like. However, that is not typically a boy's hairstyle, so I have no idea what this man is on. So he stopped the entire event. He also pointed to another girl who also had short hair. He then piped in and said, well, if she is not a boy, then she is obviously trans. Okay, this is pre-puberty. Even if she was trans, I fail to see the problem here. Again, if you want to go after trans girls after they hit puberty as not being allowed in girls' sports because there is some unfair advantage because they went through male puberty, that's a conversation worth having. These are 9-year-olds. These are 4th graders. So unless things have changed a lot since I was a kid, you're not going through puberty yet. So still, I fail to see the problem. All right. Miss Starr told the outlet that the man's wife then hurled abuse, allegedly calling her a genital mutilator, a groomer, and a pedophile. Oh, God damn it. What is wrong with these people? Number 1, children that age, even if trans, nothing is done to their genitals because that's too young. And this is what happens when people try to protect children from something they know shit about. Because even if these children were trans, no surgery is being done. They are 9 years old. This is not the time for surgery. Surgery happens later. Puberty blockers would happen first, and they're probably not anywhere close to that because they're 9. And again, grooming her for what? I mean, if a child is trans, if a child decides that they're not the gender that matches their birth sex, that is not the parent's decision to make. If the child wants to dress a certain way, or, wear their hair a certain way, that is perfectly fine. The parent should allow that. If this is just a phase, then it's just a phase. There's nothing wrong with the parent accepting that because, again, it's not the parent's decision. It's not like if a child is playing make-believe, and yes, I know that this is a common retort from transphobes, but even if the child was playing make-believe, there's nothing wrong with playing along. As long as the child understands that you're playing along, not that you actually think that this is real. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's just you playing with the kid, like a parent is supposed to. Same thing with being trans. Let the kid decide for themselves if they're trans. It's not for you to make that decision. And sure as hell is not for some asswipe who knows nothing about this child to decide for them. It just isn't. And a pedophile? How is that pedophilia? Do you even know what that word means? The fact that you just let your husband demand proof of a 9-year-old that she is a girl, that's pedophilia, because I'm sorry, right then and there's only one way to find out, and that is to look at her genitals. And that sounds like pedophilia to me. I mean, why obsess with someone's genitals otherwise? Why demand to see them? That sounds like pedophilia, not what this parent is doing. Banning trans youth from sports has become an increasingly popular right-wing culture war issue, with Republican politicians in the U.S. pushing for state bans. But this is in Canada, so yay, we're exporting our bullshit. Central Okanagan School District Superintendent Kevin Cardall told the outlet that they are taking steps to have the man banned from all school events. Good. Staff intervened and actually moved the shot put away from where he was. The gentleman was not part of our school district. We are taking steps to ensure he is not able to be on our school property or attend events in the future, he said. So I'm sure his grandchild is just absolutely thrilled that Grandpa is now banned from the school. I don't know if she knows this child in question, but if I was that child, I would be hella embarrassed and I would feel horrible that this child is being treated that way, because it's the grandparents. We don't know how the parents react. So it could be that the child didn't have a problem with this girl. It's just the grandparents who were acting like asses. Because it doesn't mention anything about the parents or this child, the grandchild. And he added, adults need to govern themselves and behave appropriately. Well, he probably thought he was behaving appropriately because he needs to protect girls' sports. Which, again, they're freaking 9. I mean, I do not understand how this is helping anything. Carrie Starr, the youngster's other mother, said that the incident has damaged their daughter's confidence. Oh, so she has 2 moms. The plot thickens. So there might be more to this incident than just transphobia. He might just also be homophobic. And it's possible he knows who these people are and just wanted to sock it to the 2 lesbians. Because I'm sure most transphobes are also homophobic. So yeah, that just adds so much context to this. And I'm not surprised that it damaged her confidence. I mean, you want to be seen as who you are, not be mistaken for, a girl being a boy, because I know my youngest nephew, he, along with his brother, had bushy hair, and people would mistake him as for a girl. The fact that he was Sammy was not helping, because, he had a typical girl, that ambidextrous name. It could be either way. So this is just annoying. So I get that, I mean, he took it well about the fact that people assume he's a girl. That just flowed off his back, but still, most kids aren't thrilled to be told that. This has destroyed our beautiful daughter's confidence, and she was inconsolably crying during this whole event and continued once it was over and we were leaving, she said. Poor kid. Not to mention she was unable to concentrate on her track and field finals and the shot put throw for which she had qualified. I mean, that's just horrible. That should not be happening. I mean, what is wrong with people? If you have a problem with there being cheating at a track and field event, which, by the way, this sounded like it was just, the last day of school, track and field day, like, I know that when I was in elementary school, that's what we did. So, it's just a fun event, nothing serious. It's not like it's a, sanctioned event that, they take down records and, it's just a fun event for the kids. So, and it was just ruined by this asshat who decided that he had to take it upon himself to protect girls from boys. Let's face it. If you feel that you have to protect a 9-year-old from other 9-year-olds who happen to be boys because they might infiltrate an event, they're 9. They don't have separate types of muscle mass here at this point. They are 9. Fine, after puberty, if you want to protect, which I still don't recommend because you know jack shit, but at least that's a conversation to be had. They're 9. This is pre-puberty. There is no difference between the two. Stop making it about yourself because you know jack shit. So, yeah, that set me off today because that just really annoys me. And I've mentioned this in previous videos, this campaign against trans people is spilling over into cis women having issues because guys seem to think they know what a real woman should look and act like, and so they're going to peg cis women as trans because they don't match their idea of what a woman should look like. And that's just wrong. First off, you shouldn't be attacking trans people no matter what. But for those cis people who don't give a shit about trans people, this should get you going because you're in the firing line. Unless you happen to be exactly like a man's idea of what a woman should look like and act like, you could be accused of being trans. So, even if you don't actually care about trans people, you should care about that. Because you should not have to be put in a position where you have to look and act a certain way in order to protect yourself from being accused of being trans. But you know what? You shouldn't have to. Because even if trans people never existed, women should be able to look and act the way they want, and same thing with men. There shouldn't be this one-size-fits-all idea of what boys should act like and look like, and same thing with girls. There should not be a one-size-fits-all for each gender. You should decide for yourself how you want to act. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't either transition or become non-binary or whatever it is that they feel that they have to do. If people would just chill the fuck out and just let people do and act the way they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. I fail to see why this is of your concern. So, again, once they hit puberty, you want to make a stink about it, fine. But still, there are better ways than what this dipshit did. Go to the officials. Tell them that you suspect this. Anything, but don't embarrass this poor kid. This is all you did was embarrass the kid, make yourself look like an ass, which you are, and get yourself banned so you're not going to be allowed to watch your kid grow and go to whatever event she or he is doing at that school, because I assume they're banned from the entire school district. So through high school, they will not be able to attend their grandchild's events simply because they decided that being an asshole was more important than being a decent human being. Even if they thought that something was amiss, first off, these are 9-year-olds. Secondly, fine, take it up to an official. Don't make yourself the star of this show. Unless you want to show what a good little bigot you are and how good you are at figuring out someone who's trans. No, or what boys look like. Obviously not. If you, like I said, pixie cuts have never been a boy's hairstyle. And if boys want to wear that hairstyle, fine. But it's typically not a boy's hairstyle. So even if this was someone who this was past puberty and something to worry about, you still are getting your signals wrong. And again, pixie cuts are not new. This is not something that nobody's ever seen before. I fail to see why you felt the need to do this, except to let the other people know what a good little bigot you are. But the fact that this 9-year-old, has 2 moms, leads me to believe that it's not so much that he didn't know that a pixie cut was a girl's haircut. He just simply wanted to stick it to the 2 moms because, let's show the 2 moms that I'm a homophobe by attacking their 9-year-old. Still doesn't make it any better. Actually, probably makes it worse. But then again, he also attacked another student who also had short hair. So maybe he is truly just a moron. Either way, I think I've ranted enough for this video. So I will see you guys in the next one.